Hello everyone. I found something kind of interesting I'd like to show to you. We always knew we were looking at Elenin. However, there was a little something extra that kind of got overlooked. I'd like to show that to you. I saw a video, brought this to my attention. And this is an asteroid or a meteor, 2005 YU55, and it's the same day. This has a little more of a flat line to it in its travel. It looks like hardly any degree or anything. That's fairly flat. It's what it looks like compared to Elenin. Elenin has an angle to it, slightly. Not a lot, but some. But anyway. Remember, this is, they claim, I believe, 400 meters, about 1,200 feet. That's almost a quarter of a mile. Said to be something about 3 blocks long. And of course, big old Elenin is much bigger than that. So let's look at this again. Elenin is out here. Everything is set the same way on the diagram for the other object. And remember, it was in here. So, quite a little difference in how far apart they are at the moment. And then here we are. Currently we're trying to line up in a three-way lineup at the moment with Mercury and Venus. As we go farther into May, the four of us, including Mars, will try to line up. So what I want to show you is the travel of Elenin towards the Earth and the travel of this other object at the same time. So this is smaller, this object here, 2005 YU55, is smaller, but it's still about a quarter of a mile. So here it is, it's like little brother, big brother. So we're going to go to September the 11th. And I'm going to let it run. I'm going to go by pretty quick. There's the 10th. There's the 11th. We'll do the same thing over here. Okay, there's where we're at, right here. This is a little bit behind us. Let's see what Elenin's doing. Well, by golly, it's right in about the same vicinity as our other object, isn't it? See? Here's the other one right here. And they're almost in the same spot. So they're going to be about right here at the same time while we're here. So that's two objects. One much bigger than the other one, but the other one's not any size to disregard and sneeze at. Not when it's a giant hunk of something flying that fast. That could definitely do damage with an impact. So I'm going to zip this forward, and I'm going to keep it on the smaller object, because you're going to see something that maybe you had known about, maybe you didn't know about. But pay attention to the Earth distance, and I'm going to stop it whenever it gets to its closest point. And we're going to go all the way into October, as we know that we're going to do with Elenin. And I'll show you that in a minute. Look at it continue to drop. I believe 2000 PN9 was 0.117. So we clipped below that, and it's still going. and just keep watching. There we go. Now this object here, this little old thing here, is supposed to be about a quarter of a mile. You can barely see, if anything between us. I mean, it's almost indistinguishable between the two green dots. Okay. Well, let's go back to a key date with Elenin that we've already discussed and we already know to be wary of. And we'll go forward with Elenin, excuse me. And the 16th going into the 17th is when Elenin's Earth distance will be closest to us. So on the 16th going into the 17th, here we are with this big boy as close to us as they project it to be. And on the 17th, the same day, this one is actually a little bit closer, because Elenin, as you saw, is 0.232. So the bigger object is going to be a little bit farther away, but the smaller object is actually going to be a little bit closer on the same day. The smaller object will also be closer to the sun a little bit on that day. 9:56 for Elenin, 8:17 for 2005 YU55. So Elenin gives us a big problem on the 16th going into the 17th right here, and while it's here, this one's here. So the tip of my cursor, it's about right here. So we're going to have both of them, it would seem to me, to be viewable. And that might lead one to think about the Hopi prophecy of the red and blue kachina. You know, you could possibly say that because one is bigger than the other, you would have a little brother and a big brother, and one could be a blue kachina and one could be a red kachina. The bigger one, of course, would be the red one, I assume. So that is something that maybe we knew, maybe we overlooked, but we know it now. And if anybody has anything a little more on that, I'd like you to add to it. Everything that we can find out is beneficial to all of us, as is this right here. I surely wanted to show this. This is a picture of the levee being exploded, expanding the flood. It's kind of like we were told about our national budget. We had to spend money to cut our budget and save money. It didn't make sense, and this doesn't make sense. A 2-mile wide hole blasted into the levee to alleviate the swollen Mississippi River from flooding other towns is the excuse the Corps of Engineers gave for doing this. Mandatory evacuation. You had no choice, and if you did make the choice, then stand up for yourself and realize that you did have that choice to stay. Then you had to sign paperwork which I assume alleviated any responsibility for your well-being, that you were forewarned and you chose to stay. And in case you died or were injured, they could not be held liable. They claim there were not very many people that signed the paperwork to stay out of the total population. So, along with the 130,000 acres of farmland, it made absolutely no sense to me to do this. I could swear that we've seen, throughout the recent years at least, several towns totally flooded out, and they never came up with anything brilliant like this. But however, you have to remember this is New Madrid time, and whether they did or did not manufacture these tornadoes to cause devastation throughout the entire New Madrid region and the South, the Deep South in Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, everywhere. Even here in Oklahoma we had one. Well, we had more than one, but fatality-wise, we were on the very small numerical end of fatalities. So we've already seen FEMA have to rush into response mode, response and rescue, and all these good things they're supposed to do in a time of catastrophe and need. So they're already there. They're already fanning out in all them places. And what do we know if they simulated an earthquake? Well, if they didn't simulate the shaking of the ground earthquake itself, they surely have now simulated at least a portion of a consequence of an earthquake, which would be flooding. So all the storms and everything is, caused flooding already. And now we have bombs, actual bombs blowing up a structure to get rid of the structure to be able to flood another area that wasn't flooded before they blew it up. So they have created another area that is flooded, and the excuse that you've been given, and I have been given, is for the safety of the other towns to try and save them. Kind of like in the wars they're doing nowadays. This is a preemptive strike, I suppose, in their mind. But we know it's more than just a preemptive strike. So now is definitely a time to be on your guard. That's what there is to say about that. We know the 16th through the 20th was the dates that had been told for the actual exercise to kick in. But it looks like it's kicked in earlier to me, because with all the storms and the rain and the devastation from the tornadoes, they've already kicked into gear and what their role is supposed to be in times like that. So they're there already. And then you have the New Madrid exercise set up too, which has been publicized to a degree. To a degree, not as highly as it should have been if it was really on the up and up. So please continue praying for everyone affected by the storms already. Pray for all the people that just lost whatever they lost, if their area was flooded by this levee being blown up. Pray for everything that looks like it's coming down the tubes, because things are moving really quick. We have some other issues I need to get into in a follow-up video to this. I'm short on time, so I'm going to have to end for now. But those are some things to think about, what I showed you on the orbit diagram. And be ready for FEMA and anything that they could pull at this time, because here they are, Corps of Engineers, bombs blowing up a levee. So until next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you safe, and I'll speak to you soon.